And welcome. And this is going to be the first show, official show. Yo, if anybody ever asks you, what's the official show? If he ever gets famous, this will be the first official show. So tell him to refer back here. But today I want to talk about a ethnic group that spans from East Africa to West Africa. Majority of them are concentrated in West Africa, called the Fulani tribe. Yes, the Fulani tribe. I love the Fulani tribe. I've learned about the Fulani tribe, I would like to say 5 years ago. No, let me not lie. Not 5 years ago. Around 4 years ago, I learned about the Fulani tribe. Actually, me being African American, I'm sort of hoping one of those tribes that I'm from is the Fulani tribe, but we'll find out one day, and I will share that with you when that happens. But I would like to talk about them today. So let's start off. The Fulani tribe is concentrated, like I said, in Central and West Africa. Some are in North Africa as well, parts of Libya, around that area, and also Fulani are in East Africa, Sudan, Egypt, obviously. And if you talk to a lot of Fulani, they will tell you that they are direct ancestors or the original tribes of Egypt, or coming from Egypt. So that migrated. I just want to talk about the Fulani group today and shed some light on these beautiful people and what I know about them, and discuss it, and to bridge the gap. Let's learn here. Let's not be scared of each other. Let's learn. So the Fulani group. The one thing you need to know about the Fulani group, there are other ethnic groups that are under it. So let's say you only know the term tribe, right? Let's say that there's other tribes that have broken off that are under it, that the Wadavi people and just different kind of Fulani, but they all belong to the Fulani group. Now, even though they're so widespread and there's so many different many traditions within these sub-ethnic groups that all belong to the Fulani tribe, they all know that they're Fulani by the set of rules, or the greeting that they have, and basically the set of rules are to teach the history by mouth, tell what has happened with their ancestors and where they came from and what they do, and to instill in people kindness and respect. They even have respect for their enemies, which that lets you know something about history if you just look at a lot of different African tribes, or just the way that they go about on a daily basis, as to where the man and the woman coexist together without this power struggle that we have so much of in America. It's really sad, but this power struggle that they have, to where the man does what he needs to do to take care of the family, and the woman does what she needs to do to take care of the family. For example, and this is not always true regardless of whatever ethnic group, or if you would like to call it tribe, whatever tribe you go to, but the man would go and get the meat, go hunt, go out and be in the desert for 2-3 days, or be in the jungle for 3 or 4 days, or be in the plains or the mountains or wherever it is, because Africa's a continent, so it's very diverse atmospheres and regions and things like that, terrain and things like that. But then the woman would collect the berries, the fruits, cook, maybe clean. Just depends on so many different kind of ethnic groups, and it's just so different between even one tribe that is in the Tuareg tribe, which I'll talk about next episode. But the Tuareg tribe is literally right on top of the Fulani tribe, as far as if we're talking about the Fulani in Nigeria, Ghana, Mali, the Sahara Desert area, Fulani, which is I think where a majority of Fulani feel more comfortable, unless they are Fulani from near the ocean in Nigeria or Ghana or Congo or wherever they might be, Sudan, wherever they might be. So anyways, not to get off subject, the Fulani have a greeting and a set of principles that they share in a scenario or ceremony, mini ceremony. When you meet another Fulani, you basically ask them how are they doing, but instead of you asking how are you doing, you just you tell them how they're doing. You basically say, may the Most High bless you. May you have so many blessings and so many, adornments, and may your life be beautiful and good, and they start out the conversation with that kind of warm greeting, which makes you think about it, that if as a culture certain places around the world would greet people like that, or taught people to greet people like that, maybe that can make somebody's day. Maybe somebody can have a better life, after that, just because it's like, wow, I finally met somebody that's nice and greets me and tells me that things are going to be good even when they're bad, without even me having to tell them. So the warm welcomes and the wishings of the Fulani is very, very warm, very kind, like very, very ancient. There's actually a documentary on them called the Herdsmen of the Sun, which is the Wudabi, which is under the Fulani, or is an ethnic group that's a part of the Fulani. I hate to say under, but I mean that sort of kind of broke off, but they're still Fulani, but they are a sub-ethnic group, and they live in the desert. And there's a good documentary that you should watch. You can probably find it even on YouTube, and it's called the Herdsmen of the Sun. And it's a documentary about Fulani, or the Wudabi people that live in the desert. I think it's in the Mali or Nigeria area. So anyway, the Fulani are very, very peaceful people. At least from what I know, I've heard some things about the Fulani and some other ethnic groups, but I'm not going to get into that because I don't know too much of it exactly right now. And when I learn about it, maybe I'll speak on it. But I definitely do think that the Fulani is a very, very peaceful people for the majority of the Fulani. Obviously, everybody in every group has things they have to do, or get into skirmishes or whatever it might be. So the Fulani people, there's sort of kind of three types of Fulani people. There are the Fulani people that create towns and stick together, and they all live within a village or a kingdom. And then you have the second Fulani person, which is a mix of both. They might stay in a group for a time period, and then they might move and be nomadic and just move from grazing area to grazing area with their cattle or their goats. And then you have the other Fulani people that are just straight nomadic, that they just Neolithic too. They just move and they go from country to country, regardless of the borders. They just go, from they'll be in Ghana one day, the next day they'll be Nigeria, then they'll be in Niger, then they'll be in Mali, or whatever the scenario might be, because they follow the graze. Their cattle and the goats follow. Obviously, they need water. They follow the cattle, because the cattle grazes and moves from time to time, actually periodically, all the time really. So they always are moving with their food, and they actually have houses that they create that are made out of wood, and some are made out of just materials that they've gathered and traded, and they make nice, just beautiful, small houses that are just adorned with beautiful, like, rugs and just very beautiful things. The women from the Fulani tribe actually carry around a lot of pots. They're really famous for their pots and their cloths and their and a lot of other little jewelry that they make. The men are very popular, well, at least for me, that I love it so much. I don't know if a lot of people do, but I know a lot of Rastafarians that wear the Fulani hat. And the Fulani hat looks just like, if you've never seen a Fulani hat, you should look at a Fulani hat. A Fulani hat, if you don't know what it is, I'm just going to describe it in this manner. A Fulani hat sort of looks like a Japanese, shogun era, big hat where you can barely see the eyes sometimes, depending on how the person sits. And they're really beautiful hats. They've been around for a long time, way longer than me, and maybe probably way longer than a couple generations before me. So very, very, very beautiful things, and very beautiful culture that they have. Now, when they move along, when a woman, hold on, let's slow it down for a second, because I'm just sort of kind of rambling here. I'm not really, but I just wanted to make sure that I have everything in proportion and in the zone and in the square and whatever you want to call it, and make sure that I'm talking about everything properly. So the Fulani have a ideology in life that the woman should always be able to sustain herself even if she doesn't have a man, because of the role that the man plays as far as hunting and things like that. So let's say, for instance, in the culture of the Fulani, if the woman is divorced, or maybe that's not the right word to use, but if there's an agreement amongst both sides and the elders, basically say, hey, this is okay for you guys to break up, you guys don't have to be together anymore, the woman gets to keep enough cattle to sustain her way of life. Now, this is granted, you got to understand, this is only for the Fulani that are in the desert. The ones that are in townships and things like that, it might be a little bit different. But as far as the ones in the desert and the ones that are even in the jungle or the plains or the mountains, the ones that are nomadic, they make sure that the woman is set and she has enough cattle to sustain her way of life, or to sell at the marketplace when she might go into the city, or amongst different Fulani or different other tribes like the Tuareg tribe that's really close to them that they interact with a lot, and that's a very, very good I think it's a very, very good way to look at things. Here in America, it probably would be called, yo, you should take half your stuff, whatever, but it's not, but that's not even the scenario there at all. It's just that, it's to be expected, because regardless of the fact that you guys might have had bickering, you might have fought, there's still just the basic necessity that everybody needs. And at the end of the day, they have unity. They're part of the same ethnic group, the same tribe. They must stick together, regardless if they have different feelings about it or not. They stick together. So the woman gets to keep the cattle, and she can also sustain herself by making beautiful jewelry. The Fulani has very, very beautiful jewelry. If you haven't checked it out, look on Google and just put Fulani, Fulani, or Fulani, and put that on Google. And women wear some beautiful jewelry, head wraps too as well. The men wear head wraps a lot of times, or the Fulani hats. Actually, I've seen a lot of Fulani that wear their turban or head wrap, whichever way you want to call it, and then they'll put their Fulani hat over it, or they'll put some put the hat on and then wrap the turban around the top part. It just depends on which one and which region and what they do in that region, or how they feel that day. It doesn't necessarily have to be a traditional thing when it comes to that aspect of it. So that is that. Now, for the Fulani tribe, one thing I also want you to understand is that the Fulani tribe are very, very tall people. They are not the tallest people by average. They are actually the Tutsi tribe that's in Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania area, all around that area, those countries. They are actually the tallest ethnic group in the world per capita, or average, or whatever you want to call it, but yes, average by average. So they're not the tallest, but Fulani are tall. They've been noted Fulani to be 7'7", almost 8 foot. I mean, tall. They're very tall. They're very slender, and yeah, that's basically how the men look. The women are very gorgeous. A lot of the women have, a lot of adornments. They usually have markings on their face that signify certain things. Don't get me lying already, because I don't really know, but when I find that out, I definitely will tell you. And the men are very, very slender. They are very tall. Now let's move on to the festival. There's actually a festival that the Wudabi have, especially to where the woman gets to pick a man to basically just, to either marry, or just have fun with, or just to hang out with, or just to talk to, or, any kind of scenario that a woman and a man would have, just like anything here, when you're going out on a date, or when you're meeting somebody new, who knows what it could lead to. It could lead to a conversation, it could lead to dinner, it could lead to you hating each other. We don't know what it's going to lead to, but they have that option. So at this festival, the men basically take a whole day. Well, let me start from the beginning. The Fulani, a lot of the tribes, as well as the Tuareg tribe, I think of the Tuareg tribe, I would like to say, quote me if I'm wrong, but I think they come to watch. They don't interact with it as much, because it's not really their ceremony, but they do come to watch. So basically, the whole group of Fulani, and especially Wudabi people, which is a sub from the Fulani, under the Fulani, which are still Fulani, they go and they all gather, and it will be 5, 6, 700 of them, and they will all bring their camels, and they will all come to one area, and the women will be off in another area getting ready for the festival, and the man. But the beautiful part about it is actually the festival is, I would say, at least 80% on the man. The men go off to oasis, or some part of the vegetation area where there's a lake and things where they can wash their faces, in case they mess up their paintings on their faces. But they will go with their fellow tribesmen, and they will paint their faces. They'll paint their faces all the way. It's just beautiful. They'll paint their faces, and they'll put different markings going all the way down their nose and across their face. I mean, it's just really beautiful stuff. And once they do that, at the end of the day, before sunset, they will go and they will stand in a straight line, and the elders will, there will be people watching, and the elders will ride around on camels and do their traditional ceremony, their speech, and after that, they pick the women, and the women actually get to come, and the women walk down the straight, long line full of maybe 40 or 50 Fulani men, and the women get to pick, and the women will go back and forth maybe for 2 or 3 minutes, and the woman might pick this guy over here, but then she might double think like, maybe he wasn't as cute as what I thought he was, and I don't really like his height or his teeth, and she'll go down and pick the other guy. And while these women are walking down and picking, these men are basically trying to stand as tall as they can. They're trying to smile, and they sing and they hum and they go like this. I know it might be, you might look crazy if you don't know what it is and you're looking at me, but they do it because they're trying to show off their teeth. They're trying to show off their teeth. They're trying to show off their nose. They're trying to show off their eyes and their masculine, figure, and their very chiseled cheekbones and just all the features that Fulanis have. So the men are just up, like smiling and just going to town. It's really beautiful when you first watch it. Some people might take it a different way, but it really is beautiful if you're looking at it from an open mind and to understand what culture really is. And once these men are picked, the women can go off and do whatever they want with them. But the Fulani is a very, very, very beautiful tribe. Their diets consist around gruel or millet, to where they will take the milk from the goats or the cattle that they have, and they will mix it, and they'll throw honey in there, berries in there, oats, all organic stuff, because they're like, in Africa, and they're not even in a major city. Some are, but I mean, actually a lot are in the major city, but I'm saying the ones I'm referring to are not. And they're living the ancient lifestyle, and they're getting organic oats, organic honey, and no chemicals, straight from the earth. Like, there's no such thing as an organic to them. It just is what it is. So their diet consists on that, and also their diet consists on lots of soups, anything that can be watery, especially for the Wudabi in the desert. So you might have soups that, they would mix maybe, milk with water, and peppers and spices and onions and all kind of good stuff. That's basically a Fulani's diet. Fulani do eat meat, depending on which country you go to and which section, region. But as far as the Wudabi, they barely eat meat, because they rely on their cattle and they rely on their goats. So eating meat is really only for special traditions, traditional ceremonies, or maybe if it's just out of necessity that they have to do it to survive before they get to the next area, or if there's a great famine. In the documentary, it talks about there's a great famine, I think in the 70s or 60s, something like that, where it killed off half of the population of one, Fulani tribe, and they had to do what they had to do as far as eating a lot of their cattle. So that sort of wraps up the Fulani tribe. I hope you learned a lot from me on this. I just love talking about African American history, African history. It's all the same thing. It's all linked up. Afro-Brazilian history, Afro-Caribbean history, Afro-Latino history. Yes, you black Dominicans and Puerto Ricans and Cubans and Hondurans. I ain't forgot about y'all and the rest of South America that might have Africans that are there now. You might not consider yourself that. Maybe you do, but you are, even if you don't want to be. So you might as well accept it and learn and understand why you don't want to be called an African. And I'm very proud to be African. You know, the only reason I even state that I'm African American is just so you know my history in a quick second, so then we can build after that, and we can go on to our people. So and our history, you know. So this is the end of the episode, and I would like to leave you with a Nigerian proverb too, just so you guys can think about it. There was a tree in the forest, and the tree left the forest. And when the tree returned, the trees in the forest said, "Look, the axe has returned." So you can take that any way you want. And I'm just going to leave you with that. Peace, love, blessings. You know, I hope everybody stays safe. Love yourself. Love your hair. I can't say that enough. Love your hair. And love who you are. And if you hate who you are, then learn about who you are, and then you won't hate it. Because there's very few people I know that have culture or know their culture that hate their culture. Or, I mean, some do, but majority doesn't. And you might not just not know your culture. So research it, or leave me questions down at the box. Tell me you hate me, whatever. Tell me I'm ugly, I'm good looking, whatever. Just put it there, because I want to build with you guys and continue this network. So I would like to say peace, be safe. To my Nubian queens, Nefertitian queens, to my African kings, my brothers, my strong brothers, and one love, and I'm out of here. Peace.
Surre, surre, surre.